All right, so our next guest, I know, hates being introduced as the greatest lacrosse player of all time, so we're not going to do that. We're just going to call him one of the greatest lacrosse players of all time.
Both very kind. Yeah.
But I know the first one makes you a little
happy to sit with
uncomfortable.
you, man. Yeah,
No,
yeah.
it's great to see you, Paul. You are a veteran here at Sport Beach. You've come a number of years now. You've been here since the inception to see what it is today. Why is this something that's always on your calendar every year?
Well, it's a great event. I love the Stagwell team and Ryan Linder, who's the global CMO here. I think they solved for something more quickly than the rest of the beach at Cannes Lions, and that is understanding the future of advertising in the most integrated capacity lies at the intersection of sport and live events. And so they went and reshaped an entire strategy and added a little bit of fun. Because there's a basketball court, they're playing pickleball, got to get lacrosse here.
Yeah, I got to get some lax here.
And so the opportunity then as a property owner to come in and speak to those advertisers about multiple ways that we integrate their brand and help solve for customer KPIs is just core to the proposition. And it's south of France.
Yeah,
Nice.
south of France in the middle of summer. It's not so bad. But you have become sort of the face of your sport in a lot of ways, a great ambassador for your sport. And I wonder, in your journey as an athlete, like at what point did you realize that you had more to give the game of lacrosse and that you wanted to take on more? And it wasn't just about playing the game, but it was about promoting and marketing the game.
I love the game. I've played it my whole life. It's introduced me to so many people that are now family and places around the world. The history of the game is really special. It goes back thousands of years, the Native American game. They called it the creator's game. They played it for medicine. They played it in competition. They played it to solve for conflict. All that stuff as an athlete, when you sort of like step into the maturity of the professional level and you reflect on something that's more deeper than just putting a ball in the back of the net, that really connects me. The other piece is, for a long time, professional lacrosse was part-time. And there's this business side of me that wanted to fix that, partly out of necessity, but also part in posterity. So, I was talking about a little bit backstage with Sue and Megan Rapinoe, and even as big and as talented and successful as they are in their respective sports, especially in women's sports at the time when they were the stars, they had to do entrepreneurship by necessity too. So we talked about that, entrepreneurship by necessity. Mm-hmm. And that's a key driver because athletes kind of thrive in those pressure situations.
Mm-hmm. You've had an opportunity to do a lot of cool things in your career, but I think last summer it might rank towards the top. And that's carry the Olympic torch.
Yeah.
What was that experience like, and what are you expecting for 2028?
It was amazing. Ever since I picked up a stick when I was 12, I'd thought about it, dreamed about lacrosse being in the Olympics. And it wasn't an Olympic sport while I was playing, but it once was in 1904, 1908. So I began this quest in my mid-20s to participate with our world governing body and our US OPC group to try to see, like, hey, what is the path to getting lacrosse back in? And there's a long, arduous path. But we were lucky enough to put together the right team, and over the last 4 years, worked with the USOPC, worked with Casey Washburn at LA 28, and then ultimately the IOC to turn a vote where lacrosse is back in the Olympics in LA 28. And so while I won't be on the field, I'll be there in person, and I'll be sort of like shepherding the pro game and working with our athletes who are competing. It's going to be amazing.
It's going to be a huge moment for the sport. How do you expect sort of the impact for it to resonate with future generations who never had the opportunity to watch lacrosse in the Olympics, and now it's going to be, front and center in 2028?
Yeah. Well, Olympics is universally understood, so people sort of get your sport when it's an Olympic sport. There were 18 countries that were playing lacrosse when I started. Now there are 93. And then the last one is there's 3.5 billion people that watch the Olympics. So you have this introduction to the sport, which is going to be really valuable. There's also going to be a level of public financing that a lot of these countries get from their institutions because they can compete for a medal. And if you look at a sport like lacrosse, hockey, or golf, and previously American football, they're expensive sports to play. And we have to try something before we invest in it, not invest and try. And so you get all of that with the Olympics.
You look at your sport and the history of it being such a fan, what do you think are some of the most coveted collectible moments? Is there some stick or some shoes or something of that?
For sure. I would say Jim Brown's stick from the 50s, playing at Syracuse as a first-team All-American. The late Jim Brown, he told me that if professional lacrosse was around, he would have played that over football. So I would say that's a key, his wooden stick.
How about from your own career?
Well, one more. Gary Gate
Okay.
from late 80s doing the first dunk from behind the crease, and they coined it the Air Gate right at the time where Air Jordan came out. My stuff, I don't know. I mean, maybe my first stick, it was a traditionally strung sort of leathers, and it was an STX Turbo. And that stick took my first shot that went backwards instead of forwards. So that was special for me.
Last thing here as we wrap up, because I know my days are numbered as a television host when Paul Rabil starts hosting television shows. Man, I got no chance. I got no shot. So what's it like to be a TV host now? You're having a blast, obviously, working with Omaha. And that show's been really fun to see you kind of jump in head first.
Yeah. Even the construction of the show was fun. It was like building a small business. So sitting with Peyton and Jamie Horowitz and then Connor Schell at Words and Pictures, who are also producing, and then Burke Magnus at ESPN, and Brian Lockhart, who runs originals at ESPN. So there's a great team that like comes together and says, hey, we are distributing professional lacrosse live in the springs and summers. We have talent that can tell the story of lacrosse to new fans. We have this show called Places with Omaha. Paul, what do you think? And so we ended up writing the episodes, going through multiple drafts, landing on these 5 shows that I think take people through the journey of lacrosse. And the thing about Places is it's a little bit like SNL skit meeting interview. So it like embraces athletes and their dodgy acting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then
you get nervous on those days and have a real conversation?
I approached it. I took a couple acting classes in college. And then I approached it with the same work ethic that my acting coach told me at the time, which was, athletes have supreme attention to detail and they practice. And that's actors' versions of rehearsal. So you got to know your lines. You got to sort of anticipate how awkward it's going to be with multiple cameras and people kind of messing up here and there. But it's a great practice.
Clearly, from seeing you do it, you enjoyed it, and I hope you get
it.
to do more of those episodes because they're great for the game, and it's just a great way for people to get to know you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Paul Rabil joining us here on Collect at Sport Beach. We will see him, of course, next year here at Sport Beach and for many years to come. It's great to see you, buddy.
Thanks, Ben.